Going here, we got 3, and we're live.
How y'all doing?
Sensation.
My mic, actually. Hang on.
Yeah, we did get your mic too, man.
Mikey's boy.
What's up, guys? We're in it. We're here.
It's the CARESNONE Be Dope Podcast. I am your host, Chris CARESNONE, with my co-host, Dereck Fisher. What's up, baby?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. You doing great?
I'm doing sensational.
You look bundled up.
Oh yeah, I'm snuggled. It's a degree out here, boy. You better stop playing.
I was like -7.
I was out there on my bike though, bro.
Oh, we about to get to that in a second. Tom, how you doing, Tom?
I'm good, guys. Life's good. We got some new. I might not say it on camera, out of fear of retribution from you. But after the podcast, I'll let you know we have something else in the works that you'll get a kick out of. So
All right.
okay.
we'll do that.
Yeah,
But you know, the year ended well, man. I know last time we were talking, was it after or like right at the New Year cusp?
Right around there,
Yeah.
Like
So
cusp,
yeah, man, things are good so far. The podcast studio's been really good this month, and it's looking like it will be probably a good month. And the other business is a little slow, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. And Colton's full time now.
Hey,
Give a shout out to Colton.
Trying to do the damn thing. I see you,
And so yeah, we're good, man. Oh, you know, and I don't want to, but I guess it's a personal thing. So I had
So tell it.
well, I just don't want it to be like all weird, but a couple days ago, we had kind of an unfortunate series of events, and our dog needed to be put down. He was a totally good dog, and then a healthy dog, and he had some spinal issue, and like within 48 hours, it was like, you either got to do this thing. And anyway, we ultimately decided that, but we had him for 9 years. So my year started off a little sad, and I'm good now. It's been a week or so, but it's sad. It's fucked up, and it makes you think of just, you never know when like the last moment with them is going to be, man. And it's the same shit for people too. You know, I think you wake up assuming it's like, I'll be 60, I'll be 80, do all this shit. And it's like, you never really know when like you're going to get hit by a car or some shit. Right. And so anyway, that a little bit of sad news, but we're starting off the year all right, man. I'm happy.
No.
You know, that's it. That's funny you say that because, you know, I have a dog, a golden retriever named Zoe. Shout out to Zoe.
Shout out Zoe.
And I had never had a dog before. I've seen other people's dogs. You know, I know white people love dogs. For some reason, they say that blacks don't like dogs. But I've never, I think it was the whole Michael Vick thing, and there was this energy. I'm serious.
This is totally true. I mean, when I ran the studio, we had a little tiny Pomeranian, and like people would come, does she bite? I'm like, even if she did, like, what's the problem, bro? And at the recording studio, it was basically all black people. So like, black people are tripping about dogs. There's something about it. It's a pit bull. It's like, maybe it's a normal dog.
I've never had this like hatred towards dogs. I'm not like, man, fuck dogs. I've never felt that way before. Anyways, I've liked people's dogs. I've always felt, they call me the dog whisperer. Finally get my own dog. And then you grow with it, and you get upset at it. You learn from it. It's like a real live thing that's growing. And I get it now. Why people love their dogs?
Because their dogs love them.
Man, like it's just first of all, you can learn a lot from dogs. Yep. I think one of the main things I've learned from dogs is just being in the moment. They always they can get pure satisfaction from the most simple things that we'd be like, this is ridiculous. And they just as happy as can be, just content with what we would deem as that's very simple life. And it's like, man, they not stressing about too much. Right. And they always come at you no matter what situation as they come back at you with love. Do you agree with this, Tom?
Yeah, no, of course.
Like, even if you was like to beat their ass or something, I feel like it's like the true unconditional love that do human beings really feel that? I guess parents.
That's pacification. We train them to be like that.
They legit are like pets.
Yeah, we trained them this whole time to be exactly like that so they can just succumb to humans.
Because they used to be a wild damn wolf.
They were all wolf. So we had to, the process of pacification, you just keep breeding the ones that's more susceptible to humans.
So you saying dogs have not been around the way we see them today as long as humans have?
All dogs come from the wolf. All the dogs come from the wolf. We trained them specifically.
So we got wolves at first, and we had to train them.
It's the ones you train the ones that are more cool with coming around humans, and you just keep breeding those. Okay. That's how you pacify something to be a pet.
But you said you got a golden retriever.
Yeah, and anyways, she's been sick. Like little. Right now, there's an ear infection, and she just got done being sick. There was crystals in her urine and all, and doing all these things, and you can fix it up and everything. But it's like just going through a couple things, right? And then coming back to, you think they're going to be all right, but Tom didn't realize, you just never know. There was this saying that says, you never really know when's the last time you're going to pick up your kid for the last time.
Yeah.
That you've been picking your kid up and then one day you never pick them up again. And it kind of makes me try to appreciate more things like this podcast, which I really want to appreciate this because we're here doing it right now. And that's dope. And specifically us, we're creating. And a lot of people are pacified. You want to talk about pacified, they're not creating, and do you, but I've learned a lot from dogs that to not take, sometimes the little stuff be like the biggest and best stuff, man.
Right.
And they don't be tripping. And they show love. They do. And I like I said, I ain't never felt that before from an animal. Have you had animals?
Yeah.
You had dogs, everything, cats?
Nah, I'm a cat person. I'm more of a cat person.
What you like with cats?
Yeah, I like cats. Cats are way more my speed than dogs.
What you like about cats?
They're cool. They mind their own business. They kind of just want to be petted, and they're pretty just to themselves, and they don't really need much. They don't need much attention. But if they want your attention, then they'll just cuddle up on you or something like that. But otherwise, and I like cats because they're actually not pets. They're just wild animals that chose to stay by us. Like if you look at a cat, they're much. You don't really train a cat to do anything. They kind of already pee in their own. They're really particular about where they piss and stuff, and you kind of just let them be. But a dog is more so like
hands-on.
Yeah, it's more hands-on, but it's for a certain person too. It's for a person that, wants that childlike, thing to take care of and wants that pacification feeling and whatnot. So
is that what you guys did, Tom? You and your girl, you got a dog to kind of, I'm serious. Feel that a little bit.
Well, so I'll say one, I grew up with cats too. And I like the whole like cat or dog people. Like I like animals, so I'm cool with whatever.
Snakes and shit?
I don't. I think. Listen, cats. Things that you can't like pick up and enjoy is less. Like if you have like a
people
pet
enjoy snakes all the time.
I know. Well, okay, and I guess I don't connect with snakes. I've never had a snake, and yeah, that's normal. Like I wouldn't probably get as much satisfaction of like a lizard than like a cat or a dog, because they're just more friendly. But like dogs are definitely in your face. Like he slept in the bed with us. Like he just wanted to be part of things. Like dogs are very hands-on and cats aren't as much. They're like, they can piss in a litter box. You can go for a couple of days. You don't have to drop them off anywhere. Just like let that motherfucker do his own thing. And some cats are the demeanor. I feel like dogs lean towards, most dogs are pretty chill and cool and like dogs. Cats, it's like, you got cats that's like, that they don't want to fuck with you at all. They're just kind of like, they do their own thing. And, I feel like the ongoing joke with cat people is like that the cats actually hate them type deal. They're trying to like kill you basically.
It feels like dude, I saw a cat video. Cat put his paws out and was like moving the glass off to the side. And then the dude was looking at him like, don't you do it. And it was like, wow. Anyway, like cats is some assholes, man.
They're not
jerks.
pets.
They're little jerks.
They're not pets.
But a dog, man, a dog just was just a little something to eat. And
nah, bro, they be pissing when you come to the front door and shit. It's too much. Like, bro, like, oh, let me suck your dick. Let me do this.
That is true. It is intense.
I was like, bro, relax.
Yeah,
but I get when people need that. I get it. When you need to come home to a dog just wagging his tail like crazy, that would give me kind of anxiety probably.
Yeah, especially depending on what you're doing. Like if I got to pee, like dog, you're a dog. Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah, but I've heard people also say that it really helps them to train themselves. Because I knew a girl, she bought a dog and then she realized she had to get up every single morning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. She's like, man, but that like it forced me to get up every morning and be accountable and so many things. So I feel like a dog, it's like a child. It's just a child that won't grow up. Like you have to be accountable for this thing and at all times. So when it does come to the death part of it, I can feel that like it being a person you really lost, like a real person you lost. So
some people say that raising dogs is harder than raising kids. I've heard that. Yeah. I swear I've heard that.
Man, it could be. I haven't raised either, so
it's true. Hey, can y'all imagine having? Do you desire to have children?
Yeah, I want to.
You want some kids?
I want a gang of kids.
Bro. How many kids you want?
50-11?
Okay, you a lot of kids.
I want a whole tribe.
So you want to be like what's the dude
Nick
from
Cannon?
He's hilarious.
Nick Cannon. No, I'm talking about back in the day, like a king dude.
King Diggle.
King Diggle.
We're already falling apart.
King Diggling. These are all my kids. No, I
it's a lot of.
I don't think it was that. I'm gonna let it go.
Genghis Khan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the dude I was thinking of.
Talking about. I was just talking.
He had a bunch. He had a bunch
like
of kids.
968 or something. Like
I heard something crazy. I'm totally making this number up, but I think we all got a little bit of Genghis Khan.
What do you mean?
That's probably true.
I think we all have some little bit in our blood from Genghis Khan, what he was on.
Oh, there's a big part of the Asian population that does. I forgot the exact percentage, but
so if you're Asian, chances are you down.
It's some percentage, like known percentage.
Genghis Khan. Who was Genghis Khan?
Genghis Khan was a king of the Mongolian Empire who pretty much started the whole. He just took over most of the world.
He was like, one of the guys that just like really was just fucking places over.
He like, mass murdered a lot of people too. And he kind of like started the Silk Road and the Black Plague.
But he had a bunch of girls though.
Well, I mean, if you pillaging and raping everybody, then
I feel like that's
if you got first dibs on all the pillaging.
He had a bunch of honeys.
I know you're making it sound like he was like silky smooth with the girls. It's
that's
like,
what I thought.
But that's how history tells shit too.
Nah, he was just going into the village and not pulling out and like.
But he was pillaging and like not trying to like stay and build another place and make it greater. He was like, no, I just.
So he's just brutal.
I
thought Genghis Khan was like this ladies' man.
Nah, he was a ladies' man.
Really good. Oh man,
taking them to the clubs that didn't exist and stuff.
I'm just like, the first part.
Right.
Genghis Khan was a pretty fascinating figure in history. He was the founder and first great Khan of the Mongol Empire, which became the largest contiguous empire in history after his death.
Mm-hmm.
Born in the 12th century, probably around 1162, his real name was Temujin. He started out with humble beginnings in a Mongol tribe, but he quickly rose to power through both his military genius and his ability to unite the Mongol tribes.
Right.
But
ask how many kids did he have?
How many children did Genghis Khan have? Did he know how to get the ladies?
I don't know how they could even like track that and quantify that from the 1100s.
968.
Oh, here we go. I love GPT, y'all. You guys have no idea. I'll literally just sit down with this thing for hours and just learn.
I'm
addicted to learning.
I fucking believe it. Yeah.
I'm serious. Like, you should see some of these threads. Crazy threads. Genghis Khan was known to have numerous wives and consorts.
Consorts, huh?
What's a consort?
I don't
That's
know.
another GPT.
I mean, I got all the consorts.
Yeah, shit.
Which was common among Mongol leaders of his time. Officially, he had 4 wives who held the titles of empress, but he also had many other consorts.
Mm-hmm.
This means he fathered quite a few children through the exact number, although the exact number isn't known.
All right, what's the population, the percentage of population?
And for his success with women, it's important to understand this in the context of his time and culture. His marriages and relationships were often tied to political alliances and consolidating power rather than romantic pursuits as we might think of them today. Oh,
yeah.
So a lot of that was on some like Game of Thrones shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it was on some rape.
That's what you had to do.
Yeah, it probably was that too.
No, I think that was it. It was like, probably like Genghis Khan, don't destroy our whole village. You can have my daughter. And he's like, all right, sweet.
Yeah, that too. But he still destroyed the village.
Yeah, probably right after.
So.
He fucked your bitch and then fucked you.
So rape and pillage.
All right, R.I.P. Though, we gotta be sensitive. He probably killed a lot of people. He's a bad guy, I think. So,
who's worse?
He's one of the ones.
Is he worse than Christopher Columbus? Who's worse?
That's a good question.
They're both horrible.
There's a lot of worse people in this world. Bro.
I'm gonna say Genghis Khan. Not that I'm gonna base it off of much, but Christopher Columbus, I feel like he got. Are you
pissed off that we're trying to get rid of his holiday?
Huh? No. I'm cool with whatever. I'm trying to think because, like, I think he was one of probably the first people to like start killing Indians and shit. But like, so many other people after him fucked up with the Indians, right? And like Christopher Columbus discovered America. That's or at least for America. Yeah. whatever. But yeah, for the white. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. No, I'm not like a Christopher Columbus fanboy by any means, but I think he's less of a fuck probably than Genghis Khan probably was.
Well, see, the thing is, Christopher Columbus didn't know he was in America. Like, even he died, didn't know he was here. He still thought he was in like India. So he killed a couple people. I mean, not even say like he killed a couple people, but like Genghis Khan was pillaging.
So you're going Genghis Khan was
yeah, I'm gonna go Genghis Khan.
He was the Antichrist.
He was.
I think he's a little bit worse, but
yeah, he was a lot. He was a lot.
Oh damn! You know, I'll be honest. I did not know about Genghis Khan. All I knew was that he had a bunch of kids.
You remember Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I always think of him.
So Khan, they got that whole concept from Genghis Khan,
really,
like being a ruler and an emperor and take over. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the dude. What's his name? Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Wait, what's his
that was a lady.
No, in the video game, what's his name?
Shaka.
Shaka.
That was Shaka.
There wasn't a Khan.
Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn. Yeah.
I thought it was Shaka Khan.
No, it was Shaka, the animal dude.
Off subject. Did you see this video that went viral of this white lady who was like, black people shouldn't be naming their kids these, in her words, like crazy names, because she says, from what I'm gathering, as soon as you have one of these names that's very distinctively a black name, that you're not getting the fair, equal opportunity that you would if you didn't.
Yeah.
And so how do y'all feel about that?
I mean, yeah, that's been statistically already studied and whatnot, though. That goes back to 80s, 90s, all that stuff. Plus, my name is Dereck, so.
Well, I think it just naturally.
Would you claim your name to be more ethnic than not?
Oh, absolutely. My name is made up.
Do you think? Right.
I'm more ethnic than that.
So, do you think has that been a service or disservice to you as far as the real world? Not you, obviously.
I mean, I don't know.
Have you ever noticed anything? Somebody treat you different because of your name?
No, I don't. I can't point out anything off top, but I mean, I do get a lot of "What's your name? What's your mama name?" You know those things. I've gotten a lot of those.
Name to me.
Right, of course. But thank you, by the way. But I mean, it's a different name.
Things, you didn't diss your moms. You don't get no credit for your name.
I know, right? Well, thank you, mom.
Right? Like, do we get credit? If you got the coldest name, you don't get credit. Your mom's
thank you, mother. Thank you, mother. Thank you, mother and father.
Thank you.
Well, my dad's name is Dereck, so she was just like remix that. Dereck.
How like colorful Dereck.
Well, maybe
his name describes who he is. It's perfect.
And that's why I love it, because it's just an individual name, and I just so happen to literally love just the individuality.
Do you think we live myself, like what our names are?
I know I do. I do. I don't think we all do, but I do.
What about Tom?
Well, let me. Yeah.
How do you live, Tom?
I want to go back. So I think naturally people stereotype based off of a name, right? Like if I look at my LinkedIn messages and it's Muhammad Shakarababa, and I'm like, this guy's from Pakistan, like he's probably selling me SEO services or some bullshit. And it's like, yeah, it's not like a straight up racism thing, but like if I saw, if I see Tom Brown, I'm like, this guy's probably a white dude. Like he's, I wouldn't, if you had a profile picture of you and it said that your name was Tom Brown, I'd probably be like Cat, And I just hired an accountant.
Wait, I feel like Brown is also a black.
Brown's not the problem.
Expect us to have more of a Dereck, though.
It's Tom.
Do you expect a Dereck or
Tom would be more the problem?
You
can have the last name Brown. That's fine.
Would you? Yeah. Would you believe it if it said Jamal Jenkins?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If your name was Jamal Brown, yeah, I'd be like that's cool.
Stitch.
He's no problem there. Jamal Brown, no problem.
No problem, Jamal.
But so the flip side of it though is that Tom Brown is like the most boring name. And so do I live like my name? I'd like to not think so, but
wait, but how do you, okay, that's a good question. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, how do you, because it's an English name at the end of the day. So is it boring technically? Or is it just like, how does that operate? Because I'm so used to having a different name. So how does it feel to have such a common name?
It doesn't.
Yeah, your name's common as hell.
Really bother me because like I've never. Yeah, thank you. I know, and you get everybody. I get it all the time, and it's like, yeah, it is kind of common. I've never run into another Tom Brown, and it's like, it's fine. And even if you did, it's like they're just two people. It's a name. It's not that big of a deal. But Tom Brown is not as memorable. I guess at some point it's easy. People don't struggle with my name, which is nice. I'm sure you probably the classic. Anyone that's got a name that's like a little bit out of the norm, it's like, how do you say that? And like that life sucks, or like how do you spell that? Like I say Tom Brown, like who's on this call? Tom Brown. It's like I don't have to spell shit, you know, like So I like
knows
that.
fucking Tom Brown, boy.
Exactly. So I mean, it's
if you change the way you look at things,
I always have problems with my apostrophe all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Certain documents don't accept it. If I put it, it'll start doing like all these different exclamation points and shit instead of the actual apostrophe. And
so stuff like that, but
it's always stuff like that.
It goes either way, you know.
See, I feel like my name is kind of in the middle because it's Chris, which is pretty common, especially in my age bracket. But my full name is Kristen. Because that came with its old set of problems. One, no one ever spelled it right. People always spelled it KR. My name is spelled Christian. It's spelled closer to Christian, but it's pronounced Kristen. They were very, very adamant on that. Okay. I probably would have got less drama in my life if it was Christian.
I want to go, not to cut you off. I want to go back to the root though of what is it, I guess, so white people don't be doing that shit where it's like, I'm going to call this guy Tomasa, opposed to like Thomas. It's like, I'll call this guy, like we've been recycling the same names forever. Right. And I think it is more of a black community to like, let's take something and like throw in a twist. Right. And so you
know why that is, right?
I don't.
Okay. Thank you. I'm glad I can teach you. So
teach me too. Shit.
Yeah. So slavery times, because all this stuff starts with this, we didn't have any fucking names. That's right. All the names were taken away.
My name was Kunta, and you try to take it away, Tom.
And make it Tom.
Yeah.
No, literally.
This guy's going to go by Tom.
No. But seriously, though, my middle name is Robert. My last name is Fisher. Those both aren't my original names that my ancestors would have came here from. So all the names were taken away from us. So I think once we already had the last names of the slave owners and whatnot. So once we got to actually, after Emancipation Proclamation, all that stuff, we got to name ourselves. So we started naming ourselves whatever English name there was. But then after a while, we started to search for other names and other meanings. Like, well, we understand that this name is from the English, so let's try to look into Islamic names. So that's where the Jamals and stuff like that come into play, and the Mohammeds and all that stuff. That was an era. And then we had this whole French patois type of wave. So that's where you get a lot of people with apostrophes in their names, like the De'Aaron Foxes and De'Erics and the Moniques and with the QUEs at the ends and all that other stuff. So we had different influences just trying to find our identities with our first names, being that the last name is always a family lineage name. So you typically don't change that. But with the first, you have more. And we like our culture is kind of to remix what America is standard at. It's like wearing your hat forward and then you remix it by wearing it backwards. It's kind of the same thing with a name. Like my dad's name is Dereck, English name. Actually, that's like a German more so, something like that. But English name, and then my mom remixes it by Dereck. So it's just like a patois of an English name.
So your dad's name is Dereck?
Yes.
And
his name is Dereck. And then my brother's name is DeLaShawn.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so it's like but it was just an era of putting that DE apostrophe and the LaShawns and the Kenyattas and things like that. There was unisex names. There was so many different type of naming things that we had to go through within his last like 100 years because we didn't have like a base of African names and things like that. So
because it'd be much different. We would.
Well, those are that's a very specific tribe. Although they're called the Junwansi. I studied them back in the day. Junwansi. Shout out to the Junwansi of my peoples. But yeah, it's kind of just that. Like we ain't.
First of all, have you seen these TikToks of these cats doing it?
Yeah.
And
cold.
Wait, I think it's a joke because they're always saying that somebody. I think there's some parody accounts. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's some of the funny shit. And for some reason, that language is funny to us.
Come on now. You know why it's funny to you.
It's funny to me too. Shit, you know what I'm saying? But it's so different how they would say their names versus how we'll say them here in America. Yeah. And my last name's Campbell. And when you just brought up that, we get our slave owner's last name.
We get all of their names.
Right. So like there was some Campbell slave owner. That's crazy to think about.
Oh yeah, all of ours. I mean, what
about but not Tom?
No, yeah, absolutely. Brown.
No.
Some Browns own some shit, boy. You better stop playing.
No, whoa.
No, maybe not you. Maybe not you and your lineage. But there's some Browns.
Well, so let's figure this out because this is interesting about names.
I love names.
Do you understand the concept of like when it started? So like for instance, all the people who came from Europe over here, let's say that this is type of arbitrary number of 1,000 people came, and it was their last names. We all kind of stemmed from those.
Anybody who came from those boats, the Mayflowers and all those other things, whatever their last names were, you pretty much just, the naming system was already, people, they have last names from their families. Typically, you have a family lineage name and then you have your first name. But then your first name typically is also a family lineage name.
You can legally go change your name to whatever nowadays. Or back in the day, like your name like had some value because it was like
property.
Oh, you're not even like a property to me as much, but it was like okay. But like
property.
It came like, oh, you're in this little town, and you're like, I'm a this, and it's like, oh, I know you're Pappy. Like it's a little bit more common like that. The world's so big now that like the last name, it's rare that you're like, oh, I know who your dad is just based off of that name. But that's probably more common back then. But
it's marriages and there's so many things back. But yeah,
but you could change your shit to whatever you want now.
But it was always about property and ownership and shit like that. You had to have an estate. So this was the Joneses' estate. This was the Jacksons' estate. And whatever slave you had, if you had a big estate in the plantation, they were part of your property. So their last name would be yours. And then you would name them Bubba Jackson, Eddie Jackson, Freddie Jackson, all this other shit.
Shut up. You guys are just being reverse racist to yourselves.
I'm sure. Where else would Campbell come from?
No, that's where I'm telling you where it comes from.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like, where else would a black man last name Campbell come from?
It ain't the soup.
So it probably is the soup. Is it Irish? I ain't getting none of that soup money.
You might have. You never know. All right, listen, you're doing well. So my fiance now, Allie, she has a group of friends that they're Italian, and there are 4 of them. And so there is Nino, Nina, Gina, and Marina. Nice. And it's like, why would you do that? I don't know. Like, so we just call them the Inas, but it's just like, who would do? And it's funny to hear the same thing where like, I also don't totally get the junior side of shit. Like to me, that's kind of like a weird.
You don't like junior?
No, like my brother is Charlie Brown the 4th. My dad's the 3rd. And it was like, I don't know.
I'm glad I'm not.
He should have let that maybe slide. He should have let that maybe slide. But yeah, anyone that's like a junior, I feel like it's like you're immediately kind of like,
that's awesome.
Riding the coat. I don't know. I don't like that.
I don't like the junior thing either, but I understand the junior thing. It's more like monarchical and stuff, trying to lineage it out. And
yeah.
How does Charlie feel about his name?
Charlie Brown.
I think so. It's, you could definitely be worse, right? Like Charlie Brown is like pretty widely liked and appreciated. And like Charlie Brown's like, hell yeah. So he'll,
the young cats probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah. But it's, so, we were so my, Charlie Brown the 1st was before Charlie Brown the show ever was a thing. But then my dad was, he was named around that time, and then he probably should have ended it because I'm sure there was some teasing. Kids are gonna be kids. I got teased for Thomas the Tank Engine just by having the name Thomas. It's like, but I think he's okay with it now. I think he goes technically more so by like Charles. Charles is his legal name, but I think he goes by Charlie. And Charlie Brown, if anything, it's like it's got some snap to it now, and people are like, oh, you're Charlie. Fuck yeah, you're Charlie Brown. I think
it's a cool name.
I think he's okay with it.
Charlie.
He's
Brown.
not going to name his kid. He named his kid not Charlie Brown. He named him Russ after a family name, but it's his initials are Russell Wilson, which Wilson's a family name, so it's Russell Wilson.
It's all the family.
Brown.
I love naming in the family stuff. It's so cool.
So my story is so this is actually pretty interesting. My grandmother's name is Crystal. She changed her name to Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
She had a daughter, and her name was Crystal.
Okay.
Crystal had a kid. His name was Kristen. And she also had another kid, and her name was Christine.
See, I don't like that. It reminds me, I had a neighbor that she was some old lady. She had just lived in the house. She always had German Shepherds, one German Shepherd. And like, throughout my raising, she at least gone through 2 or 3 of them. And she named them the same thing. She named them Greta. The other one died. This is Greta again. It's like, that's fucked up.
We used to do that.
That's kind of strange to me.
My grandmother used to have cats, and she would name every cat Tuesday. So all of our cats are always Tuesday.
Yeah, I see it's a little.
No, that's strange. And naming your kids the same stuff. I don't know.
Give people Tuesday.
Give them their own identity, man. I think this all goes back to that of how you identify and like. I don't know. I think being in a junior, you're kind of like immediately like put into a certain camp, and then this again, as parents, I can't imagine like yelling at your kids and be like, Marina, Gina, Ina, Carolina, like come down here, like it just.
No, you say, get your ass down here.
Right, that's how it turns into. Get y'all ass down. All of y'all get.
Well, today. LeBron James. So if I'm not mistaken,
his son,
is LeBron
James
Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can only imagine the pressure. Anyone to play ball, I can only imagine the pressure of your name being LeBron James. So then it was Bronny, we call him now. It was his decision to call himself Bronny and market himself as Bronny.
Yeah.
Instead of LeBron. So it kind of, I'm his own. So because I can see being a junior, I bet you a lot of people don't realize Bronny is a LeBron James Jr.
No, they don't. It's not advertised as that. It's not advertised.
But I guess, do you think it's beneficial that, like, if your name is LeBron James, to keep that going? I can see, like, because he's gonna have a legacy out this world.
But LeBron is such a unique name in itself.
You know, again, like I think if as a parent, you're always like, you know, whether that kid's name was Tim, like he's always gonna be like, you're LeBron James' son. You better be, you know, a basketball player, like achieve a lot type stuff. But like, yeah, naming them directly the same name is like tough. Like if Michael Jordan named his kid Michael Jordan, I don't know. I think
he might.
That's weird. I just don't like that.
Marcus
and I feel like
it's something like that. Yeah,
it's like a selfish decision more than like in their best interest.
The way my brother described it, because he has a junior, it's DeLaShawn Warren Fisher Jr. is my nephew, handsome, and it's funny because he actually goes by Shawnee. So he got it, but he got it from like LeBron's son, Bronny, Shawnee, DeLaShawn, that type of deal. But my brother described it as like he's always been into just seeing how far a name can go. And it's funny because I have like the other side of that, like, this is my name. I don't want nobody else to have this. Like, get your own name. But he's like, no, I've always been interested in just seeing how far, like, I've always been into the first and the seconds and the thirds and just seeing how far a lineage can go. And I always wanted to be like the start of something. Because, I mean, our dad wasn't around and whatnot. So he always wanted to be like a starter or something that could like last long. And like, so it's, selfish probably.
I think it's old, you know, like I feel like in the British time, or not British times, but like back in the day, you know, it was like King Louis the 14th. It's like they've been doing King Louis for the longest time.
Yeah,
you know, like
confusing.
that. It has. I feel like then again, it's different where it's like you're the next in line, and it like your lineage almost matters more than like the everyday person. Where it
feels like that's what LeBron trying to do.
But that's what we get the concept from, the whole monarchy, my naming is your naming type of deal.
It just feels I don't know. It feels like distasteful.
A lot of things we do is dated and marriage and all this other shit, man. Sorry.
No, it does.
But what I'm saying is for the reason of mostly kings and queens type shit. To be honest, it's just stuff that we've passed down and put into our society and made it like normalized. But honestly, a lot of this stuff is outdated.
Yeah,
but it just becomes like, you know,
even like our political system. And I don't want to get political on here, but it just seems like the rules that they made for back then, it's a completely different time, and it seems like, just logically speaking, you'd want to go revamp it based on what you got going on today,
right?
But then I understand the argument of, well, why would we do that? That's how we stayed on these core principles, and it got us here today. So I see both sides of it. The people who are like, we got to stay with the Constitution because the Constitution got us to be in the United States of America. So there was something that clearly worked about it to some degree, but who did it work for and that kind of thing. So then I'm like, no, we need to revisit the system because there's a lot of things that, like, even me and Steve's mom.
Damn, what about you and Steve's
before
mom?
I even say this,
shit, dude, put some respect on Steve's mom.
No, pause. No, she's super on the Democratic aisle.
Okay,
right? She's hardcore Democratic. Anything Trump, red, blonde, she
turns red.
Yeah. She's like the most against. She can't fathom, right? She can't fathom anything about the guy, right? And then me, her, and Steve got into this discussion over gun control, which is such a funny way because their understanding, from what I gathered, was we don't need guns. There's a lot of nations out here that don't have guns, and they're much safer than we are. And I'm like, I get that, but I was saying the reason why you would have guns, supposedly from the beginning, was so that the government can't just come and everyone's kind of got their own bit of anonymity, or what's what I'm looking for, where you could be your own man, right? So then that's why we have our guns, so they can't just come in and take what they want, right? Am I reading that?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
I think that's how most people feel.
And their whole thing was you just, and I agree with this, like, you don't need AR-15s. I personally, I don't need AR-15. Right? Like, I don't know how y'all feel about AR-15s, but I just don't personally need one. I don't even necessarily need a gun. The way I'm looking at it is, I'm gonna put myself in a situation where I don't need a gun. But if somebody came in my house, I'm gonna wish there was someone in that had a gun. And that was my argument to them, because they were like, you don't need no guns at all. We don't need that. And I was like, well, if someone came into your house and had a gun and was about to take your stuff, wouldn't it be nice if there was someone else in that situation that didn't have a gun that could protect you in that situation? So the argument I was saying is, someone's going to have a gun, so then you have to protect yourself. I understand that side of the argument. That's all I was saying. I just understand it.
Right.
I personally don't want a gun, but I can see, to me, and it's not to make fun of them, whenever you're so close-minded on an idea and you can't even fathom the other side of the thought, and I've been here, I feel like it shows more emotional intelligence, it shows more intelligence to at least consider what the other side of this could be, if at the very least, just to strengthen your side of the argument a little bit more.
Right.
So just be willing to hear a different perspective or a different ideology. And I've been trying to purposely put myself, because I know I have some strong opinions on things. You know, can I sit in here unemotional on this very opposing viewpoint of how you believe, whatever that means, the story, right? Can you sit in and gather something from it? So I don't know about y'all. I don't even know how I got to that question, but do you guys tend to do that? How often do you find yourself being okay being in an opposing viewpoint without getting emotionally charged?
It takes training for sure, because you are easily emotionally charged by things, just like anybody. But I try to be calm about it myself and try to be patient. It takes training, though. It does take training, because you have to be mindful of actually just hearing another. And like you said a little bit earlier, it's just a story that it's another side of a story that it's another version of a story that you're all kind of focusing in on. And to be honest, it's not the end of the world, whatever is on the other side of that story. So you should be open to hear anything. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You can even see what they're coming from, but that just gives you more knowledge to either agree or not agree. It's like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. And that doesn't make sense to me. And that's okay too. So
what about you, Tom?
I mean, I think with like, I mean, we're just talking like political issues, I guess, and things like, I don't really ever care to like convince people of stuff, you know, like if you're like, I don't want to buy a gun, and I was like super pro, I guess, again, I'm not, it'd be hard to put myself in that position, but like you say you're not, or you don't want to buy a gun. And let's say I was into guns. Like, I don't care to like pressure you to get guns, you know, like I don't really give a shit. And I feel like I'm personally like slightly more in the middle, where I'm like, I feel like I have some conservative views, I guess, and some other stuff that I feel more liberal about. But it's like, with politics, you're never going to fucking win. You're going to be just upset. And like, you could hit, you know, Steve's mom with like the most knowledge, like, here's my report, here's, you know, the more guns, the safer we are. And like, you could have articles, you could have this, you know, you could have everything in the world, but she'll still, no, you know, and it's like, that's just how people are, you know? And so with that in mind, it's like politics in general, like my dad is so political, and like, you know, he's the kind of guy that like pretends like he isn't too. Like, dinner will happen and like say a line, I look at him, I'm like, Dad, I know what you're doing. Like, you think you're slick. And he's, oh, yeah, I don't want to upset anyone. I'm like, that's what you're doing. Like, you know, like, I know what you're doing. And like, you're not slick. He's like, we were just having a conversation. I'm like, no, you just, you know what kind of conversation you're having. So personally, I'm always just like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind about stuff. It's really not even worth like talking about, I guess, because it's like, it is so charged, and it's like
any energy that you're leading with is definitely charged energy, and you're not trying to learn in that instance when you're talking to people like that. So
I think that's the key.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's different when you're talking to somebody who wants to change.
I was literally just about to interject, because we were talking about this in the car.
Yeah.
What I'm good at, I'm great segue. And because I really like, what do you do, Chris? Like, what do you offer? How do you solve this thing? And what I realized is I challenge people's perspectives and points of views that can hopefully align with a goal, whether it be professionally or personally. If someone's trying to get from, let's just hypothetically say, I need to perform better at work. And then here's my mindset. I'm trying to do this, and I don't know how, but here's my mindset. I come in, figure out what the mindset is. How are you thinking? And then I have a way of I feel like naturally I'm good at finding ways and analogies and my own personal anecdotes and things that I've learned and the books that I've read and the YouTube videos and the things we've talked about. And I have this pool of energy that knows how to get you to at least question a different way of thinking. And that's my whole, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
So considering that, trying to understand like what it is that I actually do, and I think that that's possible, Tom. I think you can change someone's, what they're thinking if, like you said, they're in the state to be changed.
Yeah, they're in a malleable state.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Because
or coming to you like, I've always felt this way, but like I'd like to hear your side. But most political conversations end up where it's just like, hey, did you see that article where some guy shot some person? And then it's like, and then it just goes off on a tangent right there.
But like combating each other.
If people were like, I'm open to exploring the other thing, like, of course, you can talk about it, but
I know I personally used to get, and like you said, it takes training. It really does. And I can even still today feel myself if I'm hearing something that goes against my core principles. It's not necessarily easy to sit in that and to think scholarly and it's because it's like it's almost like we attach our identities to these things that we think so passionately.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this in the car. Some people believe these stories, whether they tell themselves or being told, that they'll kill other people based on the story,
right?
Whether it's true or not. You heard someone did this, or your book of your religion said this. It's still just stories, and we get so attached in these. So the mind's so like, damn, the mind's so powerful. So
yeah, it is.
I do believe you can change a person if they're willing to be changed.
They have to want to be changed.
They have to want to be changed. And that's something I have to work on myself too and this is also another thing that I'm a pain point of mine is because specifically on TikTok, but now just social media in general, when you post something, it's more discoverability now than it is you fucking with your community. Now it's more about, especially on TikTok, a lot of your engagement will be from people that have never seen you before. So you are, in fact, speaking to people that might be against you. That's why you might get more opposing viewpoints in your comment section that goes against it because you're putting out into almost a free market. Now, hopefully the algorithm tries to put your shit in front of the people, but it's not perfect. And you can tell that based on, I don't agree with this. But then the thing about social media is that actually helps the engagement.
Right.
You want people to disagree. As a matter of fact, anybody who's trying to grow their TikTok, here's a little tip. I'm a very positive person, and I want the energy on anything attached to me to be positive. I like that. It feels better. I don't want people in the comments going back and forth. But I've now changed my tune on that. Let them. One, it's got nothing to do with you, right? As the person who created the original video, and two people going at it, they getting kind of dirty, in the comments. Let them. That only improves your engagement. So yes, you might have this little bit of negative energy in the comments, but now the overall positive message is being spread to more people. Right. So it's like you almost got to sacrifice a little of that energy to get more of the good energy out. So to look at does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense.
So let them battle. I used to always stop it like, nah, y'all, we don't do that over here, because I want my community to feel safe.
Yeah, but you got a different market though. The market is different. So you have a community, but you're putting out into the market, and then whoever's receptive to that, they're gonna receive it. It's a different way. TikTok's an interesting way in how they're doing it.
But that's why we got to create I try to do it with Discord. I don't know, Tom, if you've been into this, and maybe you should with what you got going on, is building these like communities. You always said I was being community builders, but where it's just all people on the same.
Yeah.
Ain't no discoverability. The people already in there, either you paid or maybe you don't pay, however you get them in there. These just your people talking about the things y'all want to talk about, and it's a community, it's a safe space. That's what I want to create.
Right.
I do think that it's a fair way because I'm going to put a lot of energy into that to probably be compensated for that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People I paid $5,000 to be in this next level speakers. I mean, I got some services from it, but part of the service was getting access to this group of over 10,000 speakers. So just being, I was willing to pay for that.
In the Discord?
This was on Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook. So right now I'm trying to figure out what's the best platform eventually just pick one and go from there. But like, do you know anything about that?
I do, and I don't know how much you. So again, I told you I have we're in the works of a play similar to what you just discussed. I don't want to take too much time, but when we wrap this up, we can. Okay. I have some stuff to tell you. So
okay, nice. Because I know there's a couple websites I've seen. The one that I'm looking at kind of closely is called SKOOL, I think, School.
Yeah, there's another one. We're gonna use a different one, but yeah.
So there's so and that's how you do it. I'm like, okay, so and then some are better than others for whatever you're trying to do. You're right. So I'm like, okay, that's the way to do it. And then like on the membership basis, that's we already know subscription based anything is really the play.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys do it. Yeah. So that's the play for all parties.
Everybody. Yeah.
Well, and I'll just preface because there's history on me on this channel hating courses and such.
Oh, we're gonna get you.
This is a way to monetize something, but you're not necessarily selling like a physical product. Like you said, like I just want to create a space. Like again, I have been put in a position with all these videos that I've done and just what put together we are here that like people reach out all the time wanting to like, pick my brain type shit. And it's like, not that I want to like gatekeep them, but it's like, you know what, why don't I just build a space for all these people to come together and all these studio owners and like just chat about things. And yeah, you pay a little bit of a fee, but it's not like it's like,
you can access like those minds.
Special stuff. It's like, it's we'll post content, we'll do fun things. And if you don't think it's worth it, fine. Like you don't have to pay type stuff. I don't want to like hawk it in the sense that it's like, buy my course. But a membership thing, a community-based thing, I feel like has less of a slimy feel personally.
And what helped me get over it a little bit is like, do I have to come up with the content? I've seen other creators who have done this and they were always shocked how people were helping people within the community. It isn't always the one who started is the one always necessarily, okay, today you want to do that. You want to do as best you can, whatever you want to offer value, but trust that there'll be a lot of value that you didn't create like tangibly.
Right.
It'll be, you still create it because you created the space, but then there'll be somebody who, I have this problem with this. And they'll be like, oh, okay, I did that. And this is how you do it. Boom, boom. You didn't do nothing except create the space. So that's one of the next, that's gonna be my big play for this year.
You don't have to be the smartest person in the room in that scenario. You just have to be the one that books the room, And so I think
that's my type of talk. That's my type of talk. Have you heard of Buddy Boss?
I have heard of it.
Have you heard of it?
I have not, Buddy Boss.
Okay, that's I think it's going on along the platforms of what you're talking about, but they're kind of they allow you the ability to pretty much make your own version of Facebook.
Oh.
But for a community, I was going to add that to
the
one
social
of the
media. I remember that.
So is it more on the likings of that you're looking to?
Essentially to be the same, you make it work. That'd actually be cool because then it'd be like but I mean, do people want another thing they can scroll on? I don't know, maybe.
But that's a community. Well, I'm thinking Facebook is the biggest community platform, one of the biggest in history. So if you had your own version of that to where people can sign up, get accepted, have their own community, but it'd be specifically about your topic, people already used to actually scrolling.
Yeah, so they're gonna scroll something.
Right. They're gonna scroll something.
Fingers, face gonna go somewhere.
It's gonna go somewhere. So why not have a platform for it? So and that way you can do courses, memberships.
Because I know some of these apps are better for courses, some are better for making the content, some are better for like different things.
Right.
But that's definitely gonna be the play for 2024 is creating an official. Because I've tried it before. I have the Discord right now, but maybe I just didn't really sit down talking about executing. I started this Discord, got about 10 people in it, but I guess I don't really understand Discord enough. I didn't really sit down and truly learn it. And people weren't creating enough, like what I'm talking about. So I do have to do something to get maybe started.
Yeah.
Right. And then as I
consistency with the content.
What do you think, Tom?
So I plan on doing a good chunk of stuff. Like, I think you definitely do need to do things, especially at the beginning stages too. Like, you will be viewed as like, this is your group, motherfucker. Like, put some shit together. And I've been a part of some Facebook groups where it's like, yeah, the moderator, the host of the group is not like always there. It's like people like, hey, I have a question about this. This is my problem. And tons of people, and that sort of stuff. I think to get people to like, to the the level of stuff that I'd like to talk about, again, like if I'm helping out other business owners with their podcast studio, it's like, we have to go into more in-depth stuff. And I don't think that as of now, I would expect people to like make videos that are helpful for the group for free and type shit like that. But I'm hoping that I can create like the main bread and butter shit. And then like just some of the conversations and engagement can be propped up by other people. You know, I don't want to be like, people make a post, then it's just me in the comments. Like, you know, like obviously we want some organic engagement and stuff like that. But I think you probably do need to do more than you think you would. And then with Discord, you know, I briefly was looking into either that or like a, you know, free Facebook group with potentially pushing people into some sort of paid thing. But it's like, I was just kind of in the mindset of like, let's just do it, you know, pretty much paid. I do free YouTube content. You want to watch that? Great. But like, you know, I think I'm giving out enough stuff that I'm cool charging you a monthly fee, and you want to get in, cool. If you don't want to, like, that's fine too, you know, but I would do that, honestly. So again, we'll chat after this, but I push you to do that, and because I think you got people that would be interested in doing it. And
for sure, I guarantee they would, especially on that TikTok. People man, and it's funny. A lot of people have asked for stuff that I'm like, oh, I gotta get on. I didn't, you know, like I remember one dude asked me, "You got workshops?"
You said, "Wait, what?"
Like, you know, I was like, "Yeah, they're coming." But it's just funny because the people tell you.
That's when it becomes beautiful, man. It's like you stop thinking so much about what can I do, and then the people just tell you what to do. They see your brand and they solve the pain points for you.
That's funny you say that, because I remember when for anyone who's going live, because going live is weird for a lot of people, and I guess we're live right now, but a lot of people are. I remember how I felt when I first did it. Here's what you could trust, especially on TikTok. I've only gone live on TikTok a lot. I remember before I pressed send or publish to go live, like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? What if I'm the only one in there? Those those are the first natural feelings. What if I look stupid? And you don't want to be just talking to yourself, right? But then, you know me, exposure therapy, do it anyway, went live. And you have to, the treasure you seek is inside the cave you're afraid to enter. You will have to press that and trust that whatever happens, you're going to figure it out. It's going to be uncertain, because you don't know. But I can tell you from experience, the people in the comments are going to give you the content. Even if it's just joking, even if they're serious, especially if they've seen one of your other videos. If you've seen 6 or 7 of my exposure therapy videos and they've helped you, and all of a sudden you're scrolling out and you see my face on a live, you're going to come in and I'm speaking from experience, say either, man, your videos have helped me, thank you, or can you explain more about this? Or I'm going through this, can you help me with that? Boom, content. So, and it comes way easier than you would think, but unfortunately, until you feel it, the anxiety and the fear you feel is like the cost. I just posted this other day, the embarrassment is part of the cost a little bit. You have to be willing to feel that initially. That's like part of it from your first time. See, I know you're a little different, but even still, the very first time you do something that's uncertain, you got to feel that in order to get to the thing. So if you're going live, you got to feel it. I'm not sugarcoating, but trust that it's going to work out. And then let's just say it don't work out. Let's say you go on TikTok, which is literally impossible because the way the algorithm works. But let's just say no one comes in on your TikTok and it's just you speaking to yourself. Then what? Then what happens?
Well, it was over.
You just sitting there for 15 minutes.
No one saw you do it anyway. So
that's a good point.
You don't even have to be embarrassed.
Right, that's a good point. So no one saw you, or the one person saw you, but and then how you know who that one person? What if we really helped that one person?
Right.
That one person, you know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about to myself how I felt in the beginning, like, oh man, what if there's only 3 people? And then when you really think about it, if there was 3 people right here who really needed my help, would you just, it's not 5,000, so I'm not going to help them? It's like almost this digital space, almost make it as if it's not still real humans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is wild. I watch quick sidebar, but just because I feel like it relates. So I, occasionally watch people on Twitch, which is usually like a gaming thing. But some of those guys like have been doing it for years and shit like that, and they just like steady have 10, 20,000 people sitting in there watching. And again, I'm sure some of these guys are, it's on in the corner and stuff like that. But it's like crazy to think about, and they're so chill about it. And then I guess you get used to it. But yeah, it's like I'm sure, they're sitting at their home office just playing computer games with their friends. And then they look over at the screen. It's like 16,000 people are watching you and like chatting and stuff like that. And it's got to feel kind of surreal. Again, like if they were playing video games and like they could look out and see everybody, it would be different, But it's like, behind the veil of the internet, it's like just such a weird concept. You know?
We see the number now, and that, I don't know, that number, it means a lot to people, though. It could be frightening. It could be, because somebody see that number at 16,000 and it could shock them. Or somebody see that number is like, okay, 16,000 people, but it doesn't really, they don't really understand it because they're not seeing 16,000 people. So,
well, some people even having one on there is terrifying.
Yeah.
Having just one person in there, and when you think about it, it's kind of weird. I'm just watching. Let me my muse, you know, sitting there like, ooh, look at that, you know.
No, that could be terrifying too. It's like, wait, why is this one person watching me?
Now imagine if you make content specifically for let's just say you a girl and you sexy and you make your content or whatever, and you know that there's 50,000 people in here right now, and you already know what the vibes is, right? So it's just interesting that because in 50,000 people in front of her, she'd probably be terrified.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, but it gives you that safe space though, which is the interesting part of it too, because as you know, people go to fuck off on behind the screen in social media too, and they talk all the crazy shit because they're behind that veil. So it's created a whole different understanding of divide and safety that is pretty interesting to see go live on like YouTube and all these different platforms and shit, just to see how it plays out.
Well, I'll tell you this, another tip for anyone trying to grow some social, at least I'm gonna just speak from my own experience. What really helps me, I feel like, is really getting down to my personal stories, really being, because by definition, social media is kind of like the highlight reels, right? For the most part, especially back in the day, like Instagram, like people, I did this today, or I got married, look at my new dog. It's always the positives. And I think a lot of the younger generation, they don't got the years of life without it, and they're comparing their life to what they see someone else's life looks like. But by definition, people are only posting the positives. So what I've tried to do is not necessarily always talk about just the positive. Talk about your positives. You talk about your wins, because why not? It's your story. But I think if you're trying to gather people to truly trust you and to truly, they kind of got to know you a little bit to some degree, right? Whatever you're willing to share. And I feel like my vulnerability, me being able to tell the stuff that ain't necessarily pretty, is probably one of my biggest assets as far as my brand is concerned, is that I'm gonna kick it to you from my experiences, and it ain't always pretty. And then, so here's another thing, a little off topic. I was talking to Dereck the other day, and someone come to me, like she had a friend that came to me going through some things with her marriage or whatever. And I helped her out a little bit, did my thing. And I'm talking later on, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, if someone comes to me and I come with you with there's a way to change your mindset, and they come at me like, you don't know what it's like, or like you don't know what I've been through, or like, woe is me. I never hear that. And I think the reason why I never hear that, like, especially if I've spoken already, is because there's nothing you can say that would trump my feeling towards overcoming adversity. Right. There's nothing you could say that I haven't felt to the up degree. And to me, not to get into that, but my point is, when I'm giving someone some of that energy, I feel like I got to give them a little piece of this, because however you thinking about it and how your life's fucked right now, I promise you, there's other feelings that you will have that are going to be worse than this moment. Not to say not to feel what you're going through. No, you're going through something that's natural, right? If you're an asshole sometime, instead of maybe saying that doesn't exist, maybe embrace that, but then learn how to work with it. That's my mindset now. But my point is, someone's like, man, it's so hard. It's like, I never hear that, because there's just no way I'm gonna allow you to tell me what's hard, because I know a hard feeling is you have something that's uncurable, and all you hear is the C word. Right. And again, not to think about that, but so when anyone comes at me with some adversity, you can still survive that feeling that you feel, because I felt it. So that's not to undermine what you're going through, because I went through that shit but you gonna overcome it. Like you always have, especially if you got someone like me in your ear saying, no, we gonna do this. Right. So I think it's very powerful that speaking from a vulnerable state, if you're trying to gather a community, if you're trying to get this, what do you call it, community building? Right. like to be a true leader is being willing to, in my opinion, being willing to use your experiences to turn them into like your shits and turn them into strengths to hopefully lessen someone else's shit.
Right.
And so then maybe their blows aren't as hard, and then hopefully you help them lessen the blows, and they can flourish and do their own thing and help other people. You know what I'm saying? And if all of us kind of just helping each other,
right?
But you can't tell me, you cannot convince me that some shit is just too much to handle. Now I know some people have clinical anxieties. Like some people are really on that. And I don't want to undermine the people who really got some disorders going on in here, but I would imagine the majority of people, are you doing the things to put yourself in a state to feel better? Clearly you're not, because there's all kind of studies saying like the number one thing you can do if you're in a shitty state, you can hop and sweat. Once you start sweating, I know it's gonna sound crazy. Oh, one of these just go work out. It really does help. Endorphins and shit and dopamine gets released into your brain after a workout. So, but unfortunately, the way it works is you have to go through the stress, which is the workout, to get to that feel good that neurotransmitter. So you can feel better by just doing certain things. And have you tried those yet?
Right.
You have tried it? Okay, then we can go on. And if you've exhausted all of the ways to thousands and thousands of years, different medicines and practices and techniques of how to feel better, if you've exhausted a good amount of those, maybe you are fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But most people haven't tried all the things.
Yeah.
Most people just, they're just kind of doing this. And I'm like, well, okay, did you try this? Well, no. I'm like, oh, well, let's try this. Well, no, I can't. No, you got to try something. You got to, and even talking to myself, got to execute.
Right. That's a whole industry for that, for sure. I feel like that's a whole industry that you're trying to tap into and trying to really hone in on and figure out what's the...
Like the motivating?
Yeah, it's a niche audience that you're looking into. Like the person you just described seems like that's like a niche audience that you're trying to target.
Yeah, what audience would you say that is, Tom? That I'm targeting when I speak like that?
I don't know if that specific person is the demographic of people that I would target for you potentially in this group, if that's what you're asking.
No. I guess I was kind of off the group or making the community.
No, not for the community. I'm just saying it's who you'd like to target. I'm just going to inject a little bit, but it's who you'd like to target because it represents something that you like to motivate yourself with. So, but I can't see how that could be a hard motivating group, but it is a target audience for sure, because you can literally go from experience and, but again, the people have to want it. That's the whole thing. That's the concept that's kind of difficult with it. It's like you have to get people that want to change, but you also have to...
That's the audience. It's like the people that are close, but not quite there.
Right.
The people who... Because I've read the comments that the people are saying your videos have helped me such and such and such.
To get over this hump.
And sometimes not even things specific. They just say your videos have helped me so much. And I'm like, well, what part? What did I say? I feel like I make content that's kind of all personal development-y.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? For the most part, because I'm personally developing my goddamn self and I'm willing to talk about the bullshit, which is going back to the original point, being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel...
Maybe that helps them just to see someone being vulnerable.
So just literally telling the story?
Maybe people aren't used to vulnerability and a lot of look, we all have our own story to tell. Sometimes we are easily entertained. We grew up, every generation since the 1930s and beyond has grown up in full-on television or phone screen entertainment. So we're already used to being entertained. So this is the first time in day and age where the individual can show their own version of entertainment, which is just a story. It just so happens to be the story that you're telling on your day-to-day. But that helps people, just like damn Titanic will help people in that love story or something like that. Like your story is helping them just by being open and being having pitfalls, having ups, having downs, having starting points, finishes, all those things. So, and when you do that on a constant basis, that just helps people in general. I think you as a content creator is helping people.
Going back to Twitch, I feel like there's plenty of people that they'll read the donos that come through. And again, these guys just like sit around and play video games. Not that it's not a difficult job, but that's what they do. And most of their content is just like them talking about, like playing Call of Duty and dropping in and shit. It's like, people will comment and be like, bro, like you saved my life type shit. And I'm always like, I get it, because it's like, you know, it was just a safe space. I just got to pass time watching you help me just kill time, you know, like they weren't walking you through why you're depressed and like how to get over like a death in the family, but they're just there playing fucking video games, and people will comment and just be like, yeah, like you know, you saved my life, bro. And they're always like a little taken aback. They're like, oh, you know, I just play video games, man. So like, thanks. I'm sorry that you were going through that and shit. But it's like, don't even try to justify it. If somebody hits you up and just says like, you helped me out with some shit, I understand wanting to be like, okay, but what exactly and how did I actually do it?
Because I would use that data. Especially where my brain is now. I want to take more advantage of the data.
Right.
And I have plenty of it, and I haven't taken advantage of any of it.
Right.
From the business side, from my videos, all those comments. And so as a matter of fact, there's this app I got to download where it's $20, I think, a month, a little expensive, but you can download all the information of all your socials, all the comments, and then you put the PDF in the GPT to analyze it. Give me my top 30 performing videos and the top 50 comments, or what is the main theme of the comments, and you could do this, which is powerful information. So, but I like what you're saying, Tom, is you're saying that you don't even necessarily got to offer value as far as the information that I'm spewing. Just by being in the room with this person for an extended period of time has offered value.
Yeah.
If they're just entertained. Yeah. It's like, if, you know, and that's why I think some of the more comedy bits or the funny things that you used to do, it's like, it's still not bad to do that sort of stuff. Cause like, you never know. Yeah. Who just needs like to watch some videos to pass some time, and they just like seeing your face and you got a funny way about you and stuff. And again, I understand as a business owner wanting to like pinpoint that problem, but there'll be plenty of people that just like, you helped me out, and like, what was it? Any lessons? And it's like, nah, just you know, you were cool.
Like, I just like your aura. I just like your cool.
You never know, and you probably never will for some people. And I think it's okay to accept that.
Yeah. What's shocking about that too is, and for anyone else who's growing social media or a brand, is people will hit you up and they'll be like, I've been watching for years, at this point, years now. And, you know, I wanted to say something, but I thought, you know, but then, so how many people can you be clutching with whatever your art is, whatever you're creating? You could be, and you'll never know, and you got to be okay with that. And as a matter of fact, do you even want to know? Because you don't want to get too high on the highs, because if you get too high on the highs, then now you're susceptible to getting too low on the lows. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I feel like I kind of like putting information out. One, that the main thing is I needed it, if I'm being honest. Everything that I've ever said is because I needed it at one point. I wanted to be very clear on that. And I hope y'all have felt this way. I don't like to say shit unless I feel like I'm working on it. Mm-hmm. Or I'm working out the idea or something. I'm not just spewing shit because this is what you're supposed to talk about. Like, well, no, let me implement this idea into my psyche. Let me talk to GPT about it now. Do I understand this? Which is, now we're coming to an end now, going back to the original point of being able to sit in a different viewpoint and realizing, as far as listening, oh man, we talked about this last time, active listening, but it really is a skill too, to truly listen to the person and not to add your 2 cents, which is so hard to do because for 30 something years, I'll have a good conversation. I can get present with you, but then let's say you say something and then my first thought is, ooh, I can add to this energy exchange. But now I'm trying to remember that at the same time listening to you. And now I'm not fully present with you. And the best way, one, to be engaging with people, two, to be charismatic, is to be present with people. Even when I was dealing with women, the ones I had better success with are the ones that I can get here with them. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, like, they're not really part of me in this present moment. So just in general, being present, and I know you guys are a little interesting about being here in the now and in the future and the past.
I remember that whole spiel.
Yeah, but I do think that being able to be present is probably the best way to get people to, like, truly fuck with you. Mm. That's the best way to make an impact, is to, and like, sometimes you gotta listen. Like, I'm shocked how much people, I've been doing this recently. Instead of trying to offer advice, just listen. Just so somebody says, oh, I got this issue. And instead of saying, let me solve it right away, just damn interesting. Anything else? You know what I'm saying? Tell me more. And I think just them getting off their chest sometimes is all they needed. Especially my mindset is the answer's already inside of us most of the time, especially on some mental shit. You just have to kind of do these layers of all this other shit that you're going through, but the answer's already there. So just by listening. And as a matter of fact, there's been a couple times recently where I literally just listened and didn't even, once the story was over, it still didn't say nothing. Then they said, do you want to say anything? Mm-hmm. And then I said, oh, do you know what I'm saying? And she wasn't taken back by it. She wasn't disrespected. Just listening is a game changer. And being willing to, and we talked about this before, but I'm gonna say it again, being willing to not add that little piece, because I can't control when you say something and I got a thought that could help. It just popped into my head. But being willing to lose that, having the vulnerability to not know where this interaction is going, to just be okay with it. Same thing, a good way to remember, let's say I'm like, I can't think of the name. Like, what's that? What do you call it? And you know how people go through that? I have found, tell me if you agree, the best way to recall it is to let it go. Completely let it go. You did this 2 weeks or a couple weeks ago at your house. You was looking for your keys. Mm-hmm. And you weren't freaking out or nothing, but it was something that was obviously concerning because you're like, I need to get my keys. Mm-hmm. We'll be fine. But you for a good 5, 6, 7 minutes, real time. And as soon as you was like, I'm gonna figure it out. Let's just go. Then you went outside, you found them right away. Right, so it proved the point that sometimes letting go is like trust. You call it the universe, God, you call it just reality, whatever. Trust that the answer is gonna find somehow. And I feel like that shit works. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how you guys feel as we close up. How do you guys feel about that idea?
It happens sometimes. I lost my headphones the other day and I just let it go and it didn't pop back up. So I fell off my bike the other day on some ice and my headphone popped out. And I went back about 5, 6 times. I couldn't find it. I tried to let it go, but it didn't reappear.
With spots too?
Yeah. It was just one of them too. I think it was my left one. That damn car, it wasn't turning right. And I had to,
Do you have any headphones now? Do you have some new ones?
Nah, not yet. I can't afford it right now. So.
You gotta remain chill. It'll just come to you. You know.
It'll just come to me. I guess.
Just don't make a big deal out of it.
I was searching my ass off. I'm gonna go back there tomorrow and see what I smell.
Fuck what you talking about. I'm going back.
It's gonna show back up. I gotta just believe.
You understand what I mean?
I get you.
Especially in conversation. Let's go back to conversation.
We're teasing, man. No, I think did we talk about this? I feel like
we kind of did.
I have some deja vu sometimes with you guys, but
we did talk about this.
Yeah, especially with relationships. No, I get that all the time. Allie will come home spouting off some shit. I'm like, oh, well, you should tell your boss to fuck off, and you should negotiate this way with your raise or whatever. And
like, I don't.
And it's always like doesn't go well. But it's so weird to me because like. I don't know. I never spill like my guts to anybody. Like, and not out of like I bottle it all up. That's not even about that. Like, it's like, you know, I felt even weird telling you about having to put our dog down because it's just like, that doesn't affect you. It doesn't matter. You know, it's not personal to you. Like, sure, you know, I guess I want you to know, but it's like, what are you going to do with that information? You know, like, it's something I got to go through and deal with. I hear you. And when I tell people about shit like, oh, you know, here's this fucking client, like, I don't know. While I do agree that there's some good stuff that happens from just speaking out and, you know, self therapy, and maybe you can work something out in your head. But it's like, if I'm telling you something, I'm at least giving you the opportunity to put it in your 2 cents. And so I think we had talked about this. Yeah. It's like, if I was like all this sort of stuff, and then, you know, funny enough, I even had a friend, like we're fairly close. I told him about the dog because I was just like, you know, it feels weird just like tell people that, but I also like, you're a friend, like you should know. I want you to know and stuff. And he's just an awkward guy. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, man. And that was that. And I was like, all right, well, I'll talk to you later, dude. And it was yeah, you know, and it's like, so that was one of those times where he was like, just, you know, didn't say anything. And it's like, I didn't want that. I wanted you to at least be like, you know,
my dog
a little bit more sorry. Like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry. I mean, I know that's tough. You know?
Where my brain goes, why did you ask? So what was the real reason that you needed to ask the question? Not the fact that you asked it. What pain point inside of you were you solving by telling someone that your dog died?
So, you know, I haven't told some of my other friends, like obviously like our family knows and things of that nature. And, you know, I was gone I used to play with them, and then I was gone for a couple of days and stuff. I don't even think they noticed, you know, like it was fine. And I just came in, but I just felt like it's stuff that you do probably want to say. Like, I have a couple other friends that like know of the dog and have a relationship with the dog. Like I haven't texted them just to be like, yo, my dog died. Cause it's strange. Like when I see him, I'll tell them, but more so out of just like wanting them to know than like needing somebody to like give me a hug, I guess, like
but with your homie, you said you kind of wanted a different response.
No, I guess I wanted a slightly better response because he's kind of like strange where again, like, again, tell me your dog died. I'm going to be like, oh bro, like, fuck, I know how that feels. I've had multiple dogs, like, damn. And the whole classic, like anything I can do. It's like, and then later, like a couple of days passed and he's like, hey man, he's like, I regret not saying too much then. He's like, I didn't know. I was like, oh, his name's Og. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry I even like brought it up because it was at like the end. I was signing off for the night. I'm like, oh, yeah, my dog died type shit. So he was probably taken aback. But no, I didn't know what I wanted. I just felt like he should know, and so it wasn't me seeking for like emotional support. Like, I got that from my family and friends that know. But I don't know. That was interesting exchange there. But I always am kind of looking for advice. Unrelated to that, I wasn't looking for him to be like, I'll come over and we'll do hot chocolate and talk. Like I don't want that. I felt like he should know. I just wanted to be straight up with him.
Yeah, like how do you handle that? That's so people. I get it all the time, right? I get all kind of. They'll tell me some devastating
personal shit.
Like some heart, like, man, my mom just died 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And like, because I get some heavy energy, especially in the DMs, and people like really coming to me, like they really need help. Right. And even if it's not heavy to them, whatever they're going through is heavy. Right. Mm-hmm. What do you say when it's something that even you're thrown back by, like my mom died, because I know from experience and from talking to people whose mothers have died or anyone close to you for that matter, there's not much in the moment that you can say that's going to equate to what they need, there's nothing you can really say.
How much can you say through a screen?
When they don't,
or even in person.
They don't even need shit. Yeah, it's like funerals where it's like, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's like, I'm sure everybody by the end of the day is like fucking sick of that, Because it's like, I get it. I know you're sympathetic. I appreciate that you are, but like, do
you say sorry for your loss?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like I'm not going to be like at the funeral, like not saying that. Like, I get it, but it's one of those things that it's like it's such a formality at this point, but it has no like real sustenance to it. It's just like
we don't really have a really good relationship with death and people just handling it. We feel it's very awkward how we don't know how
to, and it's like, again, people, and with the dog, it's like, it's very personal to us too. And again, like to tell you, it's like, you didn't know this dog, this isn't your fucking thing. And so it's like,
let me push back, not push back, wrong word, but let me dive in a second, because maybe I'm just weird like this, but when someone tells me, like when you told me your dog died, my first instinct was like to put myself in that situation, almost to like feel with you almost. And I know I can't take your energy away, but like inside of me, I really, like when you said, I'm like, damn. And then I put myself like, how would I feel, just to kind of figure out what you feel. And let's say I'm at a funeral or something, right? And I never say, and there's nothing wrong with this, say like, sorry for your loss. I always just, because it's an awkward exchange. We, like you just said, we deal with it kind of differently in the States, but I always kind of do like a, man, listen, exactly what I say. I'm putting myself in the States. I'll be like, listen, man, ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to say. Just know I'm right here. And I keep it all the way funky on that. Like Steve's dad passed away like 2 years ago. Mm. Like this is my best homie's dad. And he actually, we talked about this. His way of handling it was, I need to just kind of close off for a minute. I'm the opposite. When I'm handling something, I need the love from the village. Nothing wrong with that. We just handle it differently. But just let them know, hey, just there's nothing I can say, but I'm here with you, and I'm trying my hardest to feel your energy and come at me whenever. And because I don't want to necessarily just because I know how it can come off like you don't know.
That's not a bad thing, dude.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad. But I've always tried to personally get into that. I've always been this way though. Like I told you, when we were in a group of people and it was boring, I felt like it was my job to make sure everyone was good. You know, I picked on the bullies. You know, I used to bully bullies. Mm-hmm. So I was the biggest bully. Literally, I was 400-some pounds. To people like, don't mess with him. Come mess with me then. And then I would go fuck with them.
Right.
And if it's always been that way, even in the basketball team, or like, for instance, I'm coaching right now. Some of the kids, you know, you got your hierarchies and you got your alphas and, you know, but I'm like, no, we going to get a little homie in here too. And then I'm serious about that. And so when people do give some devastating information, I do try to like get in there with them and say, man, and try to, I say you can't do it, but to try to feel it as best I can. So like so when you tell me, and you don't have to, for me specifically, oh, he don't give a fuck about this. I'm like, no, I actually do, you know, because especially now that I have my own dog, I actually genuinely do give a fuck. Some people don't, and nothing right or wrong. Just telling you how I work. So you can tell me.
No. Well, and again, like I don't want to preface it like that. Like, and I don't think anyone I tell, like, no one's like, good, fuck that dog. You're like, and I know that. But I guess what I'm saying is it's like when somebody dies, it's so much more important to the family members around them than like a lot of the other people at the funeral. You know, it's like they're going to go home that day and it doesn't impact them quite the same. And I think I definitely am more on the side of Steve that like when shit happens like that, like I wasn't like, let's go talk to friends and family. Like, you know, I was like, I didn't even want to tell, like, you know, we told our family, but like I just texted them, you know, and I was like, and then Allie for a couple of days was like, didn't want to talk to people, you know? And so like, I think we're both a little bit more like that. And it was just more out of, again, this was the origin of this conversation was from the advice standpoint. It's like, there's no advice to give here. There's, you know, condolences and like, hey, I feel for you. If you need anything, you know, let me know. But, and not trying to offer, I know some people in these scenarios like, well, that reminds me of this time where this happened. And sometimes those stories go well, but sometimes it goes the other way.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're trying to like compete with the sadness. Like, well, that's sad, but there was a time that
that's fucking raunchy.
Yeah.
Really quick, D, what you got going on to tell them real quick before we get out of here?
I just want everybody to go to Pretty Cool Map, support me this year.
Do it.
Yes. I'm getting everybody on a cartographic journey, creating more content based around that. Just getting people used to history, the world, and how we've traveled around it and the stories we've told. But also a big thing, next time you all see me, I'll be fully locked into my massage therapy school at a new school for massage therapy. I'm coming for that ass. So
pause. Oh yeah, pause.
But this is going to be a really cool journey. Shut up. For me to go on. But I'm really interested. I'm excited, actually. I was thinking about this the other day, how this is really about to be a lot. It's about to be a big journey I'm about to go on with just understanding the body from a musculature perspective. And I've been a model understanding it from a performance perspective for the past couple of years. But to really get to know my muscles intricately and to be able to service people and help people, adding something to my repertoire of all the things that I know about the human body, I'm really excited to become an expert at that. So let's go.
There you go, Tom.
You can find me Chicago Podcast .studio, or I guess I'll plug the YouTube channel. You can find me at Anova Digital, which is going to change. We're going to move it. It's going to be, I think it's going to be renamed soon, because basically I've had a couple clients hit me up. They're like, all the videos you post are just about podcast shit. Now I'm like, I know. So
yeah.
I gotta decipher. I finally made, I'm going to make you follow me, a personal Instagram page. Shout out to Ticking Time Tom.
Okay.
It's a little cringe, but I like watches, and it has a little watch element with the ticking time. And Tom Brown, to bring this full circle, was taken. Can you believe it? On Instagram, Tom Brown, and any like, trust me, I was like happy to do like Tom, you know, like something simple
Tom
enough, but I wasn't gonna do like __ Tom _ Brown _ X12, which is like, it was getting to that point, so I had to do something a little bit more creative. I feel a little sheepish about it, but
that's funny.
That's what I did.
I like it.
But Chris, how about you, man? What's going on with your work?
CARESNONE.com or at Chris CARESNONE at all platforms. I really revamped the site, so go check that out. It's actually super dope. And I'm now no longer making the products anymore. I'm finally getting someone else who knows what they're doing. So now it should be a little bit more, actually a lot bit more streamlined, clean, ready to go. And there's actually, and I got a new hoodie coming out that's actually very popular already, and you'll see it. It's giving mental health.
I like those,
and it's actually super dope. And as always,
yeah.